Hi, everyone. We are now in week 4, and this week we will be focusing on planning for language. As you go through the content for this week, you will see that most of the content will be in the form of readings and short lecture videos. We begin by introducing content and language objectives, and I've prepared a short video to just talk through some of the differences between content and language objectives. And why teachers of multilingual learners, and really all teachers, should plan for both. And that's where you have your first reading, which is the Echeverria Vote and Short chapter. So you'll see that chapter linked there. Then you'll move into the next step, which is focused on writing content and language objectives. And so for that section, we're going to get into the weeds of how to actually create content and language objectives. So I've prepared a couple of mini lecture videos to walk you through some of the components of content objectives and language objectives that you should keep in mind as you begin drafting these. And I've also linked a range of resources that I hope will support you in beginning to write content and language objectives for your unit plan. And you'll see lots of different examples and a writing language objectives handout that I've created over the years that I think helps teachers who are just beginning to start to write language objectives in putting those together. I've included some additional resources throughout the week's content in case you want to dive a little bit deeper or deepen your understanding of how to write language objectives. We move from that into unpacking content and language standards. So I decided to focus first on objectives before standards, but obviously standards are the overarching focus, grade level learning that you want your students to be mastering. So your objectives should be connected to your both content and language standards for your grade level. But so you'll move then into the standards. I have a video that kind of overviews what the language standards are in particular, and we'll walk through the WIDA English Language Development Framework. And you'll have, that will be your second reading for this week, will be to read the WIDA ELD Standards Framework. You don't need to read the whole thing because it is a set of standards, and that would be pretty boring. But what I'd like you to do is read the overview and then find your grade level and review the standards at your grade level. So you have a sense for what kinds of aspects of language are targeted for students who are at your grade level and in your content area. And there's a lot of resources linked for content standards there as well. So that is the bulk of the content learning. So you'll be engaging in learning about standards and learning how to write them, learning about objectives and how to write them. And then the final step is discussing and applying your learning. So in the discussion board, you'll be posting some initial drafts of objectives that you want to use for your unit. So you will need to begin thinking about and working on your unit before you do the discussion board this week, because you're going to be sharing at least one content objective and one language objective, although you're welcome to share more. And then when you respond to your peers, I want you to read over their objectives and give them feedback based on what you have learned this week about what makes for effective content and language objectives. And also you can comment on their reflection on the reading, sharing questions and connections as you have in previous weeks to deepen their understanding and your own. And then the portion of the unit framework you'll be working on this week is the portion that's highlighted in blue. And I've included a picture of it in the overview for this week so you can see exactly what it is. But essentially, you'll be focusing on your standards, your objectives. You'll be thinking about a summative assessment that would measure student mastery over those objectives, and then thinking about some of the target language that you want to include in this unit, both vocabulary and other language features like grammatical structures and verb tenses, etc. So that is where we're headed this week. I hope you enjoy diving into planning for language. And again, don't hesitate to reach out if you have any questions or if you want to talk through any of your assignments.